to the Journey to Forever podcast, where we discuss the highs and lows of life and love. Join us, your hosts, Flo and
Joe,
for a weekly recalculation of our roots as we navigate the twists and turns with candid conversation, comfort food, and laughter. Men are so full of it. Give a brother a break, treat him with trust, and he'll screw you around.
the CIA ain't got nothing on a woman with a plan.
If you're an avid movie watcher, you may know those lines from the movie Two Can Play That Game. Welcome back, Forever family, to another episode of Journey to Forever podcast. Most of us who have experienced heartbreak, or as we say in Trinidad, tabanka, are really skeptical about getting our hearts broken again. So I think that leads us into a cat and mouse game. There's the enticement, followed by pursuit. Then it's a game of falling in love while trying to escape being hurt. All these games have led dating coaches, therapists to develop rules for dating, and today we're gonna discuss some of those rules. But as always, before we move forward on today's topic, we go back in a segment we call What's Your Story? So Joe, ready to reminisce?
I'm ready. So, got a story to share about a song that profoundly moved you the first time you heard it and still moves you today?
Definitely. It's one of our legends. I could say Caribbean legends because he is from Jamaica, and that's Bob. I remember my mother humming along to Bob Marley's song Baby Don't Worry About a Thing, and her just singing and just dancing with us in the living room. And to me, every time I hear Bob, no matter what sort of emotion I feel, I just feel happy. I love that song. It's a really uplifting and inspiring song.
Yeah. Bob Marley, one of the greatest musical legends of all time, if not the greatest. He is awesome. I don't think there isn't a song that is so wonderful when you listen to it. Just put you in that mood, relaxes and educates at the same time.
Definitely a legend. So, got a story to share about a thrilling ride on a roller coaster?
Yes. Let the cat out of the bag. I have only been on a roller coaster once. And I was 15 years old, going to New York, and my aunt took me to the amusement park, and we took my first roller coaster ride, and it was one of those wooden roller coasters, real old school. And I remember this ride because in motion of going through this ride, you feel yourself floating off of your seat. And if it wasn't for that seat belt, it's like, whoa, okay, it's all over. It's all over here. But it was absolutely fun. I can remember totally the feeling of flight. Only for that seat belt holding you there. And you're just floating through the air and spinning in these weird loops. Is like, wow. So that's my story about that roller coaster ride.
You were speaking about that and I was getting scared. Me and heights on roller coasters, though I've been on one, it's not something that I enjoy. So like you, I think I've done it once. I've had my experiences and that's it for me.
I would do it again. I have no problem with that.
I will be on ground waving to you from the safety of land. All right. So now that we've reminisced a bit, we're going to move right into our topic. And as mentioned at the outset, we are discussing dating rules. For the purpose of this episode, we are going to be referencing 11 dating rules you should probably try to follow, written by Dr. Chloe Carmichael, who's a relationship therapist in New York City. And this article was published in the Woman's Health magazine. She put forward her 11 rules, and we're just going to give our opinion on those rules, whether we agree with these rules or not, whether we've tried some of these rules ourselves. So the first rule is date multiple people at once. And the gist of what Dr. Chloe said is that because you meet someone you really like and you go out with them again, things escalate and then bam, they either pull away, ghost, or tell you they are not looking for something serious. Now you're crushed because you're emotionally invested in them, but they haven't invested at all in you. So her suggestion for that is don't put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Date multiple people at the same time and see who you're most compatible with, I guess.
No, I definitely don't agree with that. Because as a guy, being raised well, if you take a woman out on a date, you pay. You treat her.
Mm-hmm.
So as a guy, you have to be financially conscious. You cannot be going out with 6, 7, 8 different women and paying for them all. That means when you do find that one, you basically have drawback, playing catch up.
Okay.
Financially, that is.
Okay.
So they say not to put all your eggs in one basket, but you have to be very careful in choosing. So you choose up front which one of these ladies is actually worth your time and money.
All right. So I take your point on the financial commitment involved in dating multiple people. We're going to discuss finances later on. But let me just put forward a suggestion. Say, for instance, if we were supposed to take the finances out of it, meaning you find a way to indicate to the woman that, hey, we're going to go Dutch on this. And you find somebody, a woman who's willing to do that. Would you then be willing to basically, let's say in a month, every weekend you date 4 different people? Because as she suggested, you don't know who you might be compatible with or whether you and that person may have chemistry, because you might see the person's dating profile if you find them online, or you may meet or be introduced by mutual friends or acquaintances. And you might look at the person and say, okay, he's fine, she's fine, let's go out for drinks or whatever. And you have that experience with multiple people. So is it that you're saying, at the outset, no, you're just going to pick one of the 3 or one of the 4 and that's who you're going to try with?
Yes, I'm going to pick one. We may go on multiple dates, and then we would see, well, okay, this isn't working out, or let's just say she or he or whoever does not float my boat. Basically, in simplest terms. And with that, you know that, okay, you gave it a try, and you realize, okay, this isn't adding up. So then at that point in time, you remain friends, everything is great, but you stop pursuing that person and you move on to someone else. You let that person know, well, this is not happening between us.
There's no chemistry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you move on and you try someone else. But going around with numerous people, no. Because you will start to compare all these women to each other.
Right.
And that would be very bad. One might be very exciting, but not really smart when it comes to plans of the future.
Okay.
The other one may have plans of the future, but not very fun.
Okay.
But she probably isn't fun because she's now getting to know you.
Right.
So you need to weigh these things out and get to know someone first before you make a decision. No, this is not the one. And you go to the next one and you go back to that one and you jump in willy-nilly from person to person. That's just my view.
I totally agree with you because I'm a all or nothing kind of person. So for me, I've never done online dating. I tend to have to know the person for a while before I venture out on a date with them. So for me, I agree. I'm only going to go out to a restaurant or be seen out with one person at a time. At least somebody who I'm interested in building a relationship with. Friends, yeah. You have friends from different groups, different aspects of your life. But somebody you're pursuing in a relationship, definitely one person at a time. And yeah, that reminds me of how we got started. Yeah, we met, we exchanged numbers, but we spoke for a long time before we ever went out together in person.
Yes. A while.
Yeah, a while. All right. The second rule is keep dates short. So Dr. Chloe is suggesting that dates should not go on for more than 90 minutes because that's enough time to get to know the person on a surface level and hopefully feel a spark, but not long enough that your brain starts getting carried away with the excitement of the potential. So 90 minutes.
Okay, well, we definitely broke that rule.
Definitely.
We definitely broke that rule. The first night we went out.
It was about 8 hours.
No, not that one. The first one.
Oh.
The first night we went out.
Okay, but that was my first date.
That's her opinion, folks. Yes. Well, that person was about 4 hours.
Okay.
Roughly. Yeah, about 4 hours. Mm-hmm. And what she considers our official first date lasted roughly about 8 hours. We went to lunch, a late lunch around 2 o'clock. And we actually got home about 10, just after 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that was our first date, officially as she sees it. I keep saying as she sees it.
Okay, fine. I'll bring this up at a later point and provide more clarity as to why Joe and I don't agree as to what is our first date. The third rule is be upfront about wanting a relationship. There's nothing to be gained by hiding the fact that you're ultimately looking for your forever person, but there's a lot you can lose by it. If you're worried that telling a potential partner you want a relationship because you think it will scare them off or make you seem desperate, let go of that idea. Anyone who bails when you're honest about your intentions isn't someone who would stick around in the long run. So you're doing yourself a solid. I totally agree. You know, I'm all for honesty.
Honesty is good, yes. But you don't start off your first date with, hey, I want to get married, have 2 children, a house, and no, you don't start off like that, which I have met women doing the exact same thing. They say that on the first phone call.
Really?
Yes. They want to know how much money you make, what you do every day, what are your intentions. They need to know everything on the first hello. And that is one of the reasons why a lot of women who consider themselves independent and knowing what they want are single. Because they are so aggressive in stating what they want. They have no idea of what they really need in that person. And getting to know that person, they get straight to the business aspect of being together. And this, I'm just talking from my personal experience, folks.
Okay.
That is what has happened to me. And that I ran. I ran because I thought this is going to be a problem later down in the road. So that was it for me.
All right. I can see that. I can also see how these women haven't been hurt in the past, meaning they allowed a relationship to develop and then they were expecting it to go in a particular direction and eventually things didn't work out the way they expected. So then they are now taking the route that let me just lay all my cards on the table. I agree that honesty is necessary. However, I don't think that the approach is like, I want to be married. Because as you say, you don't even know if you have any degrees of compatibility. Do you like to vacation in the same place? Because suppose she just likes to lay on the beach and relax, and your idea of a vacation is to go hiking in the mountains somewhere.
Have adventures.
Yeah, something like that. Or the man might want children and she doesn't want children, or vice versa. So, to me, just saying that right up front on the very first date is a bit off-putting.
Yes, that's the fastest way to get rid of someone.
Yeah. But I do think there are ways of getting in an understanding of where the person's mind is at in casual conversation.
You ease into those conversations because some people being so guarded by someone asking them that question, they don't want to be vulnerable by telling them, well, it goes this way. Ladies, I am giving a piece of advice. If you ask someone those questions and tell them, I want to get married so and so, on the off, as you begin, you are going to get played. Because that guy, either of two things would happen. If he runs, consider yourself lucky. Or he would just tell you exactly what you want to hear. And it will come to an end very badly.
Okay, so you're living false expectations.
Yes.
Yeah, you're thinking, oh yeah, she's so into me, we're gonna do this, and then.
And fellas, if a girl asks you those same questions up front from the jump,
be honest, please.
Run. No, don't be honest. Run. Just casually get yourself some distance and forget about it. Because of her bad experiences,
right,
she is coming with baggage.
But we all have baggage, Joe. Don't you agree?
But it's how you deal with it. You do not bring your baggage and the things that have hurt you on our first conversation.
Okay, so this is my caveat to that request. In that, I agree, if you sense from the person that they have not dealt with what has hurt them in the past, yeah, quickly make an exit. But it will be useful to say, yeah, I'm interested in marriage, but that's far off in the distance. As in, we have to get to know each other. That's a ways away. So slow your roll. I think you can politely say that because perhaps the feedback may help guide her in saying, well, that's a little bit too soon to bring that up.
Okay.
Politely, don't insult the person, don't be rude, but politely say that. Because I think the honesty might be helpful in that instance.
Yeah, it would help them if you consider this person that they are genuinely, you think them to be a nice person.
Right.
And for me, seeing that, having that conversation at that time, I wouldn't really no longer be interested in that person.
Okay, I agree.
But I will have conversations with them and tell them why.
Yeah.
That you can't be going around just asking these questions because you're actually setting yourself up to be hurt. Because you will go around the wrong guy and he wouldn't let you hear whatever it is you want to hear.
All right, ladies, you heard it directly from a fella. Dating rule number 4. Avoid talking about exes on early dates. Dr. Chloe says, finding out how someone's last few major relationships ended and opening up about how yours did too is a great way to learn about the person and connect on a deeper level. But there's plenty of time for that later, so hold off for the first handful of dates. So by handful, I'm thinking 5 dates. So perhaps, let's just say, in around the second month or so of going out on dates with this person, you could probably ask that question.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough. I think every relationship, you would gauge the level of connection that you have with the person. You would realize that the topics of conversation is getting deeper with the person. So you'd get a sense as to when is the right time to bring up that question and ask about, so how did your last relationship end? Because ladies, I always want to know. I think it tells me a lot about that person, whether the person, 1, has closure in the relationship, 2, has done some measure of reflection in terms of learning from that experience and trying to be better in a new relationship. That's what I look for in response to that question.
Very valid points, but me personally, well, as Flo would tell you all, I'm very laid back and quiet. All I'm really concerned about is your ex a danger to me? Is he a stalker? That's all I need to know, really and truly. As we will put it in Trinidad, he's a gunman or? I just need to know if he's a gangster or not. What is his personality?
Right.
So I will know, well, see ya.
Yeah.
If you're putting me in danger. Okay. But other than that, I'm quite fine. You could have been dating the Pope. I really didn't mind.
All right, I hear you. So you wouldn't ordinarily ask that question or bring up that topic?
Not really, no.
Okay. I don't know. It would be interesting to find out from the fellows who listen to this podcast. Is that something that you're often interested in finding out? I think ladies tend to want to bring that topic up more often than guys. That's just my opinion. But I'd really like to know. Fellas, let us know. Remember, you can always give us feedback at Journey to Forever TT on Instagram. So we're moving along with our dating rules. And we are on rule number 5, which is pay more attention to follow through than advanced planning. Dr. Chloe is saying that she wouldn't write off someone based on how far in advance they initiate a date. Some people are just not great planners. She would, however, notice if they mention plans and then don't follow up on them when the day comes. Because, in her point of view, you want a mature adult who's willing and able not to mention that they are interested in something and then not making it happen. So, this one, I am not too sure how I feel about that. Because my personality is I like things planned. And I don't necessarily feel comfortable with somebody just calling me up on the night and saying, hey, what you doing? Right? Like if I am interested in pursuing something with that person. Because to me, depending on the time of day as well, it could seem like a booty call. So for me, it's like, if you're really thinking about me and want to pursue something, you're at least a day before, 2 days before, say, like, what you're doing this weekend. And I agree with her in that, yes, if you do make plans, you need to follow through, because we're not here for this games and disappointment sort of thing.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Sometimes the spontaneity is good.
Yeah.
But don't make it a habit. Don't make it the modus operandi for the whole process of you and this person going out. You make plans.
Mm-hmm.
Go most days, make plans.
Right.
There's the one odd time that you never know, something may come up and you might be probably in a bad mood or whatever. And to feel better, you say, hey, let's go watch a movie.
Right.
Something quick. These things happen. So I believe making plans is the better way to go. And keeping your plans most important.
Yeah.
There are times when something may come up. Mm-hmm. It is good to explain yourself and let them know, well, so this is the situation that has happened and I would not be able to make it. But at that point in time, reschedule. Don't just leave it in the wind.
Right. So as we are on this, as Joe mentioned before, we debate all the time as to when our first date is. I spontaneously asked a friend out to go watch another friend perform. And that's what Joe refers to as our first date. But at that point in time, I was not asking him out on a quote-unquote date. I thought he needed to get out of the house. So I was like, hey, are you busy? And yes, it was very on the spur of the moment, because I knew that I wanted to go support my friend. And I didn't know if he had plans. So I just basically messaged him, hey, you have plans? If not, there's where I'm going. This is what I'm going to do. Feel free to join me. So he calls on our first date. But I am not the ask a person or ask a man out kind of girl. I do it sometimes, but that's not my normal MO.
Folks, do you heard it for yourself? She doesn't believe it was our first date, but I already knew this was it. So I went, I had fun, and I was glad that she took me out that night and took me out of the house. So I consider that the first date.
All right, fine. So just to be clear, yeah, spontaneity is welcome. I just don't agree with that being the only time you communicate. Meaning, there have been situations where somebody would just message you like on a Friday and say, hey, What's the plan? I haven't heard from you all week. Like, we haven't spoken in however long. So what is that communicating? That you probably had other plans. That didn't work out. And then I'm the last resort.
Plan B.
Exactly. So for me, it's like, no thanks, I'm good. In those instances, I rather stay home. I have enough movies on Netflix to watch.
Right.
All right. Dating rule number 6. Don't feel obligated to send a thank you text. I'm sort of old school when it comes to pursuit dynamics. This is according to Dr. Chloe. She's saying that she's old school when it comes to pursuit dynamics because she believes that the pursuit should be led by the male. For the ladies, her advice is, as long as you've thanked your date warmly and sincerely in person before parting ways, there should be no reason to send a follow-up text. So, Joe, you were mentioning earlier that you believe it's the man's responsibility to pay for the date. So you've taken a young lady out and she hopefully has said thank you. Do you expect her to send you a text later that night or the following day, or what are your expectations?
That would be a sign to show if she is interested or not.
Okay.
Because if for some reason I got home and I haven't heard from her that night.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I haven't heard from her. I know, okay, she is not interested. Because if she was, she would have at least reached out to say, did you get home safely?
Okay.
If I didn't do that for whatever reason, I did not tell her, well, I got home and everything is all right. If she didn't bother to even say, hi, are you okay? Everything is all right? Just checking in to see that you got home. I would say sayonara.
Okay. I hear you.
Common courtesy.
I agree. I totally agree. I share those sentiments. So dating rule number 7. Give them 2 weeks to reach out again. Even after a great date, someone might need to figure out how compatible they think you two might be and what plans they can make. Dr. Chloe suggesting that you pay attention to how they follow up when they do. Waiting a week to send a one-word text, hey, is very different from reaching out after 10 days with, hey, things have been hectic at work, but I'd love to see you again. Are you free next week? 2 weeks?
No, I believe this is a cultural situation.
I think so. I think so.
In growing up on a small island in the Caribbean or any small community, you should not wait 10 days, 2 weeks, 2 days, a day, at least have a conversation of sorts. If you message me back like 2 weeks later, I am seeing it as, okay, she's bored now and she wants to go out again on my bill. Basically,
Right.
She isn't interested in me because she isn't, in that 2 weeks, she isn't calling to say, hey, let me take you out. If it's that situation, well, okay. But other than that, no, 2 weeks is too much a bigger span to not hear from someone.
Agreed. Unless, as Dr. Chloe said, they give a reasonable explanation as to why they were MIA. But ordinarily, to me, 2 weeks is too long. But on the off chance, as we say, emergencies happen. There's COVID time. In COVID times, suppose something happens and the person had an emergency to deal with, and that's why they didn't get back to you.
No. There are 24 hours in a day.
All right.
And you can send that text message in under a minute.
Say, hey, really busy now, but I'll message you at some time.
I will get back to you at some time. That takes under a minute. So there's no excuse.
All right. Moving on then.
And wait, on that note, the generation we are in right now, people are attached to their phones.
True.
they have their phones in hand to cross the street.
Right.
So that is definitely a no-no that you could not have found 1 minute out of 24 hours over 14 days
To send some
to
message.
say, hello, I'm busy,
Yeah.
I'll get back to you for whatever reason. No, that's a no-no.
Okay. Moving on then to dating rule number 8. Wait at least a few dates to have sex. Dr. Chloe says 1000% to each their own, especially on this topic. But in her professional opinion, a dating rule that can really come in handy for sparing your precious heart is avoiding sexual intimacy until you know you're both looking for the same thing. I 1000% agree. I think that is something that could corrupt the dynamic if you are not sure that this person is someone that you could move forward with a relationship on. If that's not clear to you, you should definitely sit back, sit on your hands, stay 6 feet away, whatever you need to do in order to preserve that allure until you're sure of this person. Because, yeah, that could be a situation for deep regret if you rush in too soon.
Yeah, I believe it could be a bad thing, but as I say, to each his own, because sometimes not having intimacy at that point in time may also force you to make wrong decisions.
Or you think it could chase somebody away?
Not just chase someone away, you may become too eager and you want to make this situation work so badly.
In order to get to that point?
Yes.
Oh.
So you force the situation, you overlook bad traits and habits that person might have because you want to get to the intimacy. Because this is the one. Yes, I know this is the one, but I'm not going to do it because I'm going to wait 2 months, 3 months, or 6 dates, however long. But you overlook certain things because that yearning for that other person is clouding your judgment.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're on the same page in that I think you need to be sure about this person. I think in this situation, your values are the most important deciding factor. Because for some people, it makes sense that they could wait patiently until they say I do's and for that to happen. And then they go on that exploration together. For some people, it's necessary before the I do's. But to each his own, to everyone, it's
what
entirely
makes you happy?
Up. Yeah, it's entirely
it's a subjective thing.
Definitely. Dating rule number 9. Don't freak out about who pays. Okay. To anybody who's listening and they're not sure what year it is, we are in the year 2020 as we're recording this. And as Dr. Chloe says, we need to stop forcing gender norms on dates. There's absolutely no reason for the man to have to pay for the date, just as much as there's absolutely no reason for the woman to not pay. This is an opportunity to do what makes you comfortable and stay within your values. I 100% agree.
I agree. I do agree. But I am old school. I believe the first date, the gentleman should pay. If in future, the woman decides, hey, I'm interested in this man, I'm going to pay for this date. I'm going to take him out because of that he treats me so well that I'm going to take him out.
Okay.
This treat is on me.
Right.
And ladies, this makes a man feels very special. I'm not telling you all to go and pay for every scrub that winks an eye at you. But it's nice. A gentleman, as I use the word gentleman, these days we're not really sure we know what a gentleman is.
Right.
Look it up.
So for me, it's about fairness. You know, I believe in partnership. And for that, I mean, it's okay if he pays the majority of the bill. I don't mind pitching in. And if he covers the bill, I don't mind leaving the tip. That's how I feel, because I understand how some men would say, hey, I've spent this money on this woman, and they view that as a quote unquote investment into this relationship. And I need to, for me, I feel the need to communicate that, hey, I'm invested in this too. So I'm not saying that I'm not open to splitting the bill half and half, but I still think that is necessary for me to contribute in some way. So like I said, I don't mind leaving it in. If the gentleman says no, it's okay, and you can hear from someone's tone whether or not they insisting that, hey, I got this. Right. Because you don't wanna belittle the man, by saying, oh, I'm this independent woman. So okay, you could pay the bill and I could leave it in. That's fine.
Yep.
Compromise.
Keyword, compromise.
Yes. Right, so there's in rule number 10. Feel free to do some of the planning yourself. So I believe Dr. Chloe's article was targeted to women, given that the article was on women's health. So she's saying, to women, I know it feels nice when someone else takes the reins on choosing a time and place for your date, but again, some people just aren't great planners. So if you have a certain idea in mind, throw it out there. They'll probably appreciate your efforts. Don't I know it?
Most definitely. Folks, another info on our first date, what she considers our first date. Our first date was supposed to be just lunch. And she then extended it to, hey, let's go watch a movie. And then at that point in time, after I extended it, hey, let's go for ice cream. So, yeah, that's how it went. That's basically, I believe, what the doc is saying there. Make your plans, have ideas. It's, as we say, it's a partnership. It shows that, as Flo said, you are invested in what is taking place at that moment and what may be coming in the future.
Yeah. And ladies, as we said, it's 2020. If you see a gentleman who fits the criteria for a great potential partner, don't be ashamed to ask. As they say, shoot your shot, ladies. Shoot your shot. Right, dating rule number 11. I'm getting to the juicy one. Eat whatever the heck you want. Dr. Chloe says, you may have heard they always order a salad, never finish your plate, or never bring home food rules because you're a lady. To which I say, pshaw. And I agree 100%. As you've heard us say numerous times, we are foodies. And I'm not afraid to eat because food is a big part of my enjoyment in life. Like, I love to explore new foods, new restaurants. So for me to go and just order a salad, like, who am I fooling?
Well, unless you're really into salads, that is.
No, we can have a salad. Agreed, vegetables are important. If you know me, vegetables are important. But I'm not just going to eat a salad alone, particularly when you go out on a date, because I want to show up as my whole self. So if I know that I don't ordinarily do that, then that's not what I'm going to do on dates. Granted, I'm not going to have a burger because that's not my norm, yes. Right? But at the same time, I'm not going to pretend to be this dainty because that is not me.
I believe if a guy invites you out on a date and it's a 5-star, fine dining restaurant, and that's not your comfort zone, tell him.
Right.
Say, hey, I am more, let's go by a street cart, eat hot dogs, go have ice cream on the street, walk, talk, put your input in. Do not go on a date to a place where you don't feel comfortable. It's nice to have new experiences, but the idea of that first date is to be comfortable, to get to know each other. And sometimes you not being comfortable at a 5-star restaurant, eating fine dining, you have to drink with your pinky out and that let the guy know this is not me. So from early, you all know, well, this is what this person into. And the guy, I'm talking from a guy's perspective, he's trying to impress you. So he's going to pull out all these stops and try to give you the best of everything at that moment. Unless you're very creative like myself.
All right. Hey, I like a little bit of everything. So I don't mind dates where there's fine dining and we have a nice glass of wine. And there are dates where we could literally go for a stroll and buy something off a vendor, or as we say, go for a coconut water around the savannah, something like that.
But, 2 doubles and a dinner mint.
Oh gosh. Good thing I never had that on a date, but wow. 2 doubles and a dinner mint. I know it's hard times, but whoa. All right. So those are all the dating rules. And we're just going to end this segment with another quote from the movie Two Can Play That Game. Role played by Victoria. Why am I saying Victoria? Vivica A. Fox, sorry. Shantae played Shantae in that movie. And she said, when it comes to love, there are no rules. And that's how I feel. I think you need to know what's important to you. Take your time to learn about the person and then be willing to take a risk. Because, like it or not, love is a gamble. Because people continuously evolve. So, it to me is a calculated risk, but you can only calculate and determine whether you're willing to take that risk after knowing this person and also being clear about what you want in a relationship. And if there's enough overlap between what you desire in a relationship and who this person is, then I think, okay, fine, you could step out and take that risk on that person.
Oh, for sure. I believe that love is something that you take chances on. Maybe you haven't found love because you keep loving the same person just in a different body.
Whoa.
And so you need to step out your demographic and find new people. The person you may love may already be there, but you put them in the friend zone. So you need to meet and greet everyone. You may have your likes and dislikes, yes, but don't just base it on one little pool of choices, because that's just you making the same mistake over and over and over again with the same person, just in a different body.
You hear that, ladies? Good advice from Joe. So we move into our next segment, and one of our favorite segments, because then we focus on things to eat. So, yes. Joe, what are we discussing today?
Well, I have a simple question about things to eat today. And normally, when you get things to eat, you get things to drink. So, what is your favorite beverage to have with meals? And we are not talking wine. We're talking, you're having a burger, you're having some fries. You just went out and you came home and you're thirsty. What would you have? What would be your go-to drink if you have everything in your refrigerator?
So I'm going for the tangy portions. So lime, grapefruit, cranberry in that order.
All right. You have, well, yes, she's hit it on the nail on the head there, folks. Because there's nothing like squeeze 2 limes, put some sugar in a glass with some water, 2 dashes of Angostura aromatic bitters.
Trinidad, boy.
On some lovely ice. Quench any thirst any day.
Take me back to my childhood there.
Yes. The weird thing is, my first draw for having something to quench my thirst would be a glass of water.
Okay.
Surprisingly, don't matter what I drink, as cool as it may be, there's nothing like a glass of water. Anything could come after that.
All right. I hear you. So, what's filled your love tank this week?
This week was a particularly not so much fun at work week, but my love tank was filled by Flo just sending me random text messages. Every couple hours, say hi, hello, know that she's thinking of me, so that has filled my love tank for this week. I'm comforted by that.
Okay.
What has filled your love tank this week?
Well, I didn't have a good week of sleep, so I had to sleep in this weekend to play catch up. And when I woke up, you already had Sunday lunch prepared. And yes, I got fresh squeezed lime juice with it. So that filled my love tank.
Yes, that's a lovely day.
Yes. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed our discussion around dating rules. Do you have dating rules? As always, let us know. We welcome your feedback at Journey to Forever TT on Instagram. And please subscribe or send us a voicemail via direct message. We drop our episodes like these every Friday afternoon. So if you subscribe on your favorite podcast app, we can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. You'll get notified when we drop a new episode every Friday. As always, thanks for listening. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.